had absolutely no responsibility for anything. We had a non-sanctioned match, Brian, up next. That means that the WWE had absolutely no responsibility for anything in this match regarding the participants or anything they were going to do, except if you wanted to put your name on the ass of their tights or the fucking sole of their boots, I'm sure they would have taken your money. But it was Jacob and Drew, and we like both of these guys. I obviously have been a fan of Jacob. I was the one talking about Jacob Fatu. Should have been here 2 years before Jacob Fatu was here. And Drew McIntyre and the thing with Punk and pretty much everything that he did the past however long it's been since he got good. We love it. Was this disappointing to you? Don't let me sway your opinion. Tell me your opinion before that I tell you mine, and then I'll try to change yours if it's not mine.
Well, I don't think you're going to change my opinion, but I'm pretty sure my opinion, the match did nothing but reestablish the thoughts I had and said here on the air in the weeks leading up to this. The feud was underwhelming. I don't think it did any of these two guys any favors. They've somehow made Jacob Fatu less scary.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre, I just don't care. Like, the way this feud was handled, I don't care. And I didn't care about the match. And based on the crowd reactions I was hearing at home, maybe it was louder in the room, it didn't seem like the fans cared that much either. And I'm just happy it's over. And, geez, you look at Jacob Fatu, even if you're not a genius like Jim Cornette, anyone can look at that guy and be like, man, I would book that guy and do so many. They have just blown it. But, we'll see what happens next. But I didn't care about any of this, and you're not going to change my opinion.
Well, I still care about these guys, but I think the creative team, in trying to make this more interesting, quote unquote, than it was going to be anyway, gimmicked it up with the non-sanctioned, trying to take advantage of Jacob's alleged past and, volatility, and Drew will go to any lengths. And then they can do anything within the first minute. They had 2 tables, 5 chairs, and a toolbox in the fucking ring. I think they would have gotten the same reaction from this crowd to just have a goddamn match. Probably about the same length, or maybe even a minute or 2 shorter in this case, without the ridiculous props and gimmicks and then slow pace to drag it out in between the shots with the wrench or whatever. In trying to make this, somehow the creative was willing, smoking the hopium, willing this into being a violent classic by making it non-sanctioned, street fight, no DQ, lazy booking. And the best reaction they were going to get out of the people was this regular match reaction. Because it wasn't a hot fucking deal. But they've not only cleaned Jacob up and made him less scary, but at the same time, they're putting Drew in all these garbage matches. And they're going to hurt him sooner or later. I don't know if it's possible to hurt a fucking Samoan. But again, all the weapons are brand new. I'm surprised you can't see the fucking price tag on the bright red toolbox. These are not raw, gritty street fight matches from the Amarillo Sports Arena with people hitting each other over the head with dirty fucking ball peen hammers in the name of Dory Funk Sr. It's a goddamn cleaned up clown show at this point. With the Slim Jim logo on the tables and the bright, shiny aluminum. Do they buy garbage cans and then fucking shine them? Or spray paint their goddamn chairs another coat like they're a showroom car? You can't buy it with that. And finally, after they'd done some stunts with the various things, and Drew got the referee's belt and whipped him, but then Jacob got it and whipped him back and all that stuff. Jacob they do a yay boo. Jacob ends up, I think, winning, and then sets up a table and goes to the top. It is taken forever. But then Drew moves and fucking pushes Jacob off the top, through the table to the floor. But then as soon as he gets him back in the ring, Jacob is fine and hits 2 super kicks. And then he hits Drew with the toolbox and moonsaults him through a table. Except for the fact these guys look a lot better and are a lot bigger and meaner and more established, this could have been an AEW. It's just indie, blah, in my opinion. Same as the other bullshit that we see every week.
Well, that's right there the issue. This was no different than something you would see on Raw, SmackDown, or AEW. But just talking about WWE TV, these matches don't stand out much from the everyday occurrences at this point, which makes you question why even do it. If the fans aren't going to pop the way they used to for the things they've already seen in the past, they just had a guy go through the table in the first match right before this. Right before the street fight, they had some guy create carnage right out there. So.
Well, and here, that's another thing. How much sympathy can you have for this 280-pound tattooed Samoan from the streets of fucking wherever his bad neighborhood is when I Show Speed, 100 pounds lighter, came off the same top rope and crashed through a goddamn table?
And if you're gonna hype up the criminal past of Jacob Fatu and use it, why wouldn't you have done this when he was a heel first? Really hype it up that this guy's unhinged, he's a criminal. And then he turns babyface. He's a babyface, so now let's go deep into his past.
Yes, but that's why I said remember the original Fatu, when he was making a difference. Out there with his goddamn fucking colored jacket and his finger signs and everything.
How's that making a difference stuff working for you, Fatu? You know, the kids just aren't listening to me. I'm thinking about just showing them my ass.
Yeah.
That'll make them listen.
Alrighty, well, that was hour 1 right there, Brian.
The free hour.
The free hour. Well, it's free if you get the ESPN thing through Disney, if you have it on your cable system that you pay for in some other way, but elsewise you have to pay separately for it. But you didn't have to pay for this because it was on ESPN2, except you have to pay for ESPN2, which is not on basic cable, so you have to have a cable package anyway. So they're sending you from one cable package to the other cable package, but one way or another, you end up on top of their package.
It's crazy. I saw some fan post earlier. I forget where I saw it. Someone said, I pay $20 a month for Netflix, which is obviously more than just wrestling, but you get Raw. And now I have to pay $30 a month for ESPN to watch this because his cable company, I guess, didn't offer it. That's $50 a month to watch Raw and ESPN's WWE coverage. That doesn't even count SmackDown on USA. That's $50 a month to be a WWE fan in the States. If you get the $20 Netflix package, $50 a month to see your wrestling.
Well, but now to be fair, it used to cost you $50 a month for the pay-per-view. But the pay-per-view actually gave you more wrestling than you saw on all 4 weeks of the fucking TV preceding it.
There was sponsorships, but your payment kind of covered the lack of commercials that you would see on these events.
Yes.
And now it's just, there's pretty much, I mean, you may have timed it out, you've done this kind of thing. What would you say, 10 minutes between every match minimum, between commercials and, not counting entrances, commercials and setups, 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Besides the entrances and the exits, 10 minutes or sometimes more if they have some type of video package or skit or whatever to do. And that was one of the things about, I was formatting the WCW pay-per-views in the very early days of us doing those pay-per-views. as you will recall. And I think it was it a pay-per-view format? Or no, it was a Clash of Champions format I reprinted in the Midnight Express scrapbook. But nevertheless, that was part of the problem that we had when we tried to do it. And I mean, obviously, I wasn't doing them by myself without any input from, I don't know, like Ric Flair, the booker, but I was the one writing it down on paper and timing it. And that was the thing. You had to figure out a way that you went somewhere from the match so that the guys could get out of the arena and not cross paths in the entranceway. You had to go somewhere just long enough to get them out of there so you could start the next match. So there was, a backstage interview for 45 seconds so they wouldn't cross into fucking aisle. And otherwise you were bam out and bam right back into the next thing. A minute and a half, maybe.
AEW, see, it screws me up when AEW has a pay-per-view and I get the end of a match I've watched. I'm like, all right, I'm going to run out back or something. And then the next match is like ready to start right away because they're trying to get as much as they can into their 8-hour window, whatever it is that
yes,
has.
Yeah.
But it's non-stop. Like, there's no breaks between the matches. It's match, match.
You see the complete diverse approach of the thing is that when that's the case and remember, our pay-per-views were 2 hours and 50 minutes and structured from preliminary up to main event, kind of traditionally. So you knew what was coming up. But with these, the AEW approach is it's going to be 4 to 5 hours, and all these matches are going to be endless, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes on top. And they're going to be repetitive and redundant, and everybody's going to do everything. And by the time, you get through it, most people would be numb if they can make it through it. Whereas you're numb at the end of AEW and you're asleep at the end of the WWE. Which is why that I wish if Tony was going to spend $1 billion, start a wrestling company, he might have done a better job of it so we didn't have to make these choices. Nevertheless, would you like to start into... Well, we're all right. This wasn't a pre-show. This was just the free hour on the other thing you pay for. And now we've switched over to the thing you pay more for, correct?
That's right. It was an hour to make you not look forward